WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM, 944 in the morning. And we're joined in the studio this morning by State Trooper, Public Information Officer Clifford Greenfield with us. And we're joined live on Facebook, too. And you might want to watch it on Facebook because you'll see some pictures that he's going to hold up for Josh to catch the image of and show us what this is all about. The one-pot method for making methamphetamine. And good morning.
Good morning, Todd. Thank you for having me. This is very, very important that we get this message out to the public, so I appreciate your invitation.
We have had, in the last couple of weeks, at least 3 methamphetamine busts here in Indiana County. And I guess the obvious question is it because you're paying more attention to it, or it's becoming more prevalent?
Yeah, we've actually had 4.
Okay.
We've had 4 incidents of methamphetamine-related manufacturing from January 18th to January 26th, so 4 in 8 days.
Wow.
With multiple arrests involved between those 4 incidents. Mm-hmm. We're seeing this. This is not a new problem, but we have a lot of very diligent, hardworking troopers, and a lot of them, possibly more so than in the past, know now what to look for. Oh, okay. When they're making a traffic stop, or when they're conducting any sort of investigation, a retail theft investigation or a burglary investigation. So I think a lot of it comes back to our increased level of training and awareness. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of data that I can share with you. Sure. To give you a good comprehensive idea of what we've seen over the past few years up to present day.
By all means, go ahead.
Okay. So just to quickly recap, from January 18th to January 26th, before I get into the past years, on January 18th, one of our troopers was on patrol and conducted a traffic stop here on Philadelphia Street. Actually, a vehicle pulled out in front of the trooper, failed to yield to the trooper. The trooper followed that vehicle, conducted a traffic stop, and discovered that the driver was wanted on a felony warrant, mm-hmm. and also had a one-pot lab in the vehicle. We got information later that day that individual may have been involved in making methamphetamine at his residence. Our troopers went to that residence, they obtained consent to search, and they discovered additional items there related to the manufacture of methamphetamine.
That was in earnest?
That was in earnest, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then on January 21st, our troopers were at a residence in the Armagh area to serve an arrest warrant. They made entry into the residence. They located that wanted person, took that person into custody, and during the course of that investigation, they discovered drug paraphernalia in plain view, and also found items related to the manufacture of methamphetamine in a duffel bag, mm-hmm. in that residence. Then on January 26th, our troopers were dispatched to a retail theft incident at the Blairsville Walmart. This was at 9 in the morning. And on the trooper's arrival, he observed stolen items in the vehicle. In addition to drug paraphernalia, the troopers obtained consent to search, or they did search that vehicle, and found 2 one-pot labs in the trunk of that vehicle. Mm-hmm. So this is a credit to the good job that our troopers are doing every day out on patrol. Going back to the data, so I have data going back to the year 2014. I have statewide data, mm-hmm. and data specific to Indiana County. Okay. So again, as I said, this isn't a new problem, but it's something that we're very, very well aware of. Back in 2014, I'll go through the statewide numbers, and then I'll go through the Indiana County numbers. So in 2014, there were 227 meth lab-related incidents across the state. These would have been investigated by our clandestine lab response team. They are a team of troopers and scientists who are based out of our Bureau of Criminal Investigation in Harrisburg. Mm-hmm. In 2015, they responded to 280 meth lab-related incidents statewide. In 2016, the number was 322. In 2017, 359. And last year, 2018, they responded to 220 meth lab-related incidents, so that was a little downtrend last year. This year, statewide, so as of January 28th, 2019, that same team responded to 15 meth lab-related incidents statewide.
Yeah.
Now, for the Indiana County numbers, so 2014, there were 2 that we know of in Indiana County that we responded to. In 2015, there were 8. In 2016, there were 10. In 2017, there were 2. So a great drop in 2017. I don't have an explanation for that. Last year, 2018, there were 8. And now this year already, 2019, we've had 4.
Wow. In just a few weeks, really. All right. So let's talk about a couple of things. And I want to get you to hold up some of the pictures of when we talk about a one-pot method. And that's a very common thing now.
Right.
And maybe you could hold that picture up so Josh could catch an
Sure.
image of it right now for our Facebook viewers.
This image that I'm holding now, Todd, is actually from one of our recent incidents this year.
Okay.
And what you're seeing there is a clear plastic 1-liter bottle, a soda bottle. And what stands out is that there's a cloudy bluish colored liquid in the bottle, and then at the very bottom is a white colored powder or crystallized substance in the bottom. That's the giveaway.
Okay. All right. And
I have some additional photos here as well from other incidents. This would be another one-pot meth lab. And think of these as portable meth labs.
yeah.
On TV, TV shows, you may see it as an actual laboratory in someone's home or garage. This is the portable method.
Yeah. And it's not high-tech stuff that we're doing here. It's basically mixing chemicals together to come up with a very, very dangerous substance.
Right. A lot of the chemicals that the people are using to make meth are common household chemicals, and I can go through a list of those real quickly here. This photo that I'm holding now shows a tube coming out of the top of looks like a 20-ounce Mountain Dew bottle. So that's, again, another indicator, of course. Why would a tube be coming out of a bottle like that?
Sure.
And this final photo here appears to be in a grassy area. You see propane tank, various chemicals, a gasoline container, and in the middle there is a plastic bottle.
And again, folks can look at our Facebook page and they can see that live, and of course on Facebook they can watch it anytime. But it really points out that it doesn't take a great amount of money. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of knowledge. It just takes people who are willing to do this thing to get involved in what is a very dangerous activity. You mentioned the response team. They have to be very careful when they come upon one of these scenes because this is very volatile, isn't it?
They do. They have a lot of training in responding to these incidents. They will suit up in protective gear, full suits, to process one of these labs. Because the chemicals, when they react, they cause increased pressure in that bottle, and it could easily explode. If you were to open the cap and oxygen is introduced into the bottle, it could catch on fire. It would immediately ignite. Yeah. It's very, very volatile, as you said. So they have a lot of training, a lot of experience. If as police officers, we encounter one of these one-pot labs, we are doing our best to not move it, to not disturb it, to secure that area, keep people away from that area, and then summon our team, our clandestine lab response team.
We're talking with State Police Trooper Public Information Officer Clifford Greenfield about methamphetamine, which has become something that is really top of the mind now here in Indiana County in this last month. And obviously, these trails lead from one point to another, and you can begin to sort of track where all of this stuff is coming from. In most drug cases, you get a heroin chain coming from somewhere, that's traceable. Sometimes this is something that, it's within a small group of people and that they just decide they're going to do it. I would guess that makes it much more difficult to track this down.
It does, and you're exactly right when you mentioned it's a small group of people. Typically, that's what it is. It's a group of like-minded people who are using drugs, and they will often just get together at a house or in a garage, and they'll engage in collecting the chemicals and cooking the methamphetamine there in their residence or in their garage or maybe out in the woods. So this is also a danger for hunters. It's a danger for highway maintenance workers as well. They may encounter this on the side of the road.
And since they're doing it in their homes, the kids,
Yeah.
they have to be brought into that equation as well.
Oh, yeah. There's actually an increased penalty if someone is manufacturing methamphetamine in the presence of children. Then the grading is a felony 3.
Okay.
All right.
Which is a more severe felony.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's a very high concern for us, is that are there children around?
So for the typical person who comes across something suspicious such as this, obviously don't do anything yourself. It's time to call the police.
Yeah, you need to immediately retreat from that area, keep other people away from that area. Certainly do not disturb anything. If it's in a house, you don't want to cause a spark. So you don't even want to turn off the lights or turn them on. You've got to be very, very careful and just call 911 immediately.
Yeah, we have to get this taken care of,
Right.
and get the response going right away. The dangers of methamphetamine. It's obvious that it's a product that can be cheaply made. Therefore, it can be made probably in pretty large quantities. Correct?
That's correct. It would if they would be employing the one-pot method, that process takes about 40 minutes from the time that they combine the chemicals in that bottle to have a final product. It takes about 40 minutes. But to give you an idea of some of the substances that we look for, and these in and of themselves are not criminal. They're not contraband in and of themselves, but when you see a lot of these together, that's certainly an indicator that they may be making methamphetamine there.
Okay.
So some of the items would be camp fuel, lithium batteries, so they actually dismantle the batteries and take the lithium out of them. So you might see discarded batteries that are torn apart, which is very unusual. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Nobody doing that except for that purpose, probably.
Right. Drano cleaner, which contains lye, is another common item, and Sudafed, of course. And of course, Sudafed is the sale is highly regulated now. It's tracked, but you may see someone asking their friends to go out and buy Sudafed for them.
Okay. All right. So those are some of the things, some of the warning signs to look out for, and obviously, again, dial 911 if you come across something like that.
Another indicator, aside from the visual items that you might see, is the strong chemical smell.
Okay.
And if you suspect something out of the ordinary, you need to realize that it could be this that you're dealing with.
He is State Police Trooper Clifford Greenfield. I feel like we could go on for another hour or so talking about this, but we're running out of time here this morning. When we talk about the dangers of methamphetamine, the dangers of drug use overall, always the advisory is don't get involved yourself. Call the law enforcement agency, either local or state police. Correct?
Right. I would just call 911. If it's a methamphetamine-related incident, a suspected meth lab, a local police department would be calling us to dispatch our clandestine lab response team.
Okay, very good. Thanks for coming in to tell us about this, and we'll try to develop this a little bit more, and maybe we can do something on the website as well.
Sure. Thank you very much, Todd.
We appreciate it. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160, 101.1 FM.